Leave Billified a voicemail anytime on the Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram line at 585-206-8866.
Hey, Bill. I don't know why, but when Dan was talking about him dressing up as Aquaman and all that stuff, the only thing I could picture was him looking like Mermaid Man from freaking SpongeBob. See ya.
And be sure to like and subscribe to Billified wherever you get your podcast.
I don't think I remember Mermaid Man.
I think I'm looking more like SpongeBob on a daily basis.
Oh, buddy, what's going on over there?
Dude, I don't know. I've tried.
You working out?
Yeah, but I've tried.
Consistent. Just stay consistent with it.
So, like, this is going to sound like a brag, but it's definitely not. Like, so my upper body, like, I'm starting to, like, fill out my clothes a little bit. Like, it's getting tighter, which means, getting stronger.
Is
the
that
problem
what that
is, yeah, I hope.
Is that what that means?
Or maybe I'm just getting fatter and the fat's going to my chest.
Yeah, that could be.
But like I can't lose weight to save my life. And I've tried, I hate using the expression everything, but I have. I've tried everything. I've tried Golo. I've tried Noom. I've tried intermittent fasting.
All right. But for how long?
3 years.
No. When you do this stuff, like really write it down.
Oh, about 6 months.
Yeah, but really write down what you're eating and stuff. Because a lot of times we think we're doing something. But if you did the intermittent fasting, I think it would work. If you went from like 7 at night and didn't eat again until 11 the next morning, and then you ate from 11 to 7.
I've done that, and it didn't do
anything.
No,
for you.
I think I have a metabolic condition. I think I need to talk to somebody. Seriously, I have so many freaking doctors now. It's not even funny. I wear a CPAP now. Can you believe this? Like having a freaking hose or a vacuum cleaner attached to your nose at night.
I'm
sleeping worse than ever.
Well, you'll get.
Well, you'll get used to it,
Jesus Christ.
What? I'm 43.
You're a decade younger than I am.
I know. But here's the thing. I gained 30 pounds in 2022.
Okay.
Now, I haven't gained any weight, but I haven't lost any weight. And anytime I lose weight, you know what? It's been about a couple weeks. I'm going to have some pancakes. Weight goes back up. One meal, Billy, weight goes back up. I'm going to have some pizza at BTB. Weight goes back up.
All right. So, yeah. I'm sure there's a nutritionist out there that we should get a nutritionist, an official nutritionist of Billified. Seriously, because I think that a lot of times you have to do it for a long period of time. You never get everything all at once. You couldn't handle it all at once. If you lost all your weight at once,
right,
that wouldn't be good.
Yeah,
so that's
what happened to our friend Tiny Glover. Well, I didn't know Tiny, but Tiny lost a ton of weight and then he had a heart attack.
Yeah. Well, he was working out and stuff. Yes, but that is true. Tiny did. I'll never
lose it in pieces.
I was just telling the story of Tiny the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tiny. I never met him.
It was one of these things where we went. It was an open casket, and Tiny was a big guy, wide back guy, and he looked like he was squished in. So it looked like he was like this in the coffin, and so
he was all scrunched up.
Yeah,
like they pushed him into it. Like his wife couldn't afford.
It wasn't that. It was the way it was done. So there was a friend of ours. It was Tommy, who loved Tiny, and so Tommy and I went together.
Tiny was supposed to fill in for you.
Yes.
2 weeks later when you went on vacation with your family. Yeah, and he died.
So Tommy and I went together, and Tommy was really uncomfortable going there. Like he was. He was almost shaking.
Yeah, Tommy's not a funeral guy.
And so then after that, anytime I would walk by, I go, Tommy, who am I? And here's why, okay? Before you go, what a hateful dick. And if you knew Tiny, I didn't mean it in disrespect. It just was our funny thing because Tiny would have appreciated that. I'm sorry. He just would have.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, and it was terrible and one of the sweetest human beings on the planet. All right.
Sorry.
Just be careful. Are you walking? Do you take walks?
Yes.
Just take walks. Just every day. No matter what the weather is, get out there and go for at least a mile. I've been doing that in trudging through the snow.
I'm going to try this thing that I read that Tim Ferriss recommended, which is 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up and then 30 minutes of cardio. Now, I don't know.
I don't know this stuff. I mean, these guys.
4-hour bodybuilding.
Yeah.
They come up with these books and they sell a ton of stuff.
They do.
That's why they always say, talk to your doctor first.
Yeah. Talk to somebody with a little bit of expertise.
Yeah, not some YouTuber.
Speaking of expertise, why don't we talk to Peter?
Just a great American.
As we get ready for the Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs live. It will be live, obviously, but from
Buffalo, Orchard Park.
Highmark Stadium, because this is the first road playoff game for Patrick Mahomes. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
We'll see what Peter has to say about this.
The story about Tom Brady was Tom Brady didn't play a road playoff game until, his second season, his first year as a starter, and he got knocked out against Pittsburgh in the game. So Drew Bledsoe finished the game, and they went on to the Super Bowl, and they won the Super Bowl with Brady. But then Brady didn't play another road playoff game until like their third Super Bowl, I believe, and they beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. So Patrick Mahomes is well aware of his legacy, and he knows who he's chasing. So this will be interesting for him. But the pressure's squarely on Buffalo.
Peter, how are you, sir?
Al, I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Peter, I said that this game coming up, Bills-Chiefs, is the biggest game in Josh Allen's career so far. And Danny kind of pushed back a little bit, and I said, well, hold on. Wait till Peter's on, and we'll see what the thinking is. But let me just – I'll explain it this way.
I want to hear that. Yeah, sure.
I'll explain it this way. I say it's the biggest game because, to me, we talk about the window, right? The window for the Super Bowl. The window for the Super Bowl for all kinds of teams. And this, to me, is the time where the window is most open to get at least past the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes has had one of the worst seasons in his career. Their offense is not what it was in the past. I think it will be again. I'm not saying – I mean, he played very, very well against Miami, but still they're not what they were. So this is an opportunity to me to at least get past them. What happens next if it's the Ravens? Who knows? But I just feel like this, to me, is the game. It is the marquee matchup. It's the one we've seen for a number of years now, and it is. I don't know. I just feel like this is the biggest game in his career so far. For that reason.
I respect that. I like what you said, and I think that when you look at Josh Allen's body of work, how he's matured over the years, he's gotten better with his accuracy. Obviously, what he does in the field, Joe Brady has opened him up more. He wasn't as reserved as he was early on in the year. So he has all of those, he has all of that going for him. And being at the point that the Bills are at now, the fans, the organization are looking for another step. And they haven't gotten past that other step since, goodness, they played the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game a few years ago where they were up 9-0, and then the Chiefs overwhelmed them and, game over. Chiefs go to the Super Bowl and the Bills go home. So it's tough for me to say that this is the most important one of his career. And I want to talk about your point about the window closing. I think the window is different than it was 20 years ago because the way free agency is today, the way the contracts are today, the way the CBA is today, I feel like there's so much parity in this NFL. Like all year long, back in the day, you felt like there was two dominant teams, one in the AFC, one in the NFC, and everybody was just chasing. Now it's, it feels like anybody could walk out of here. You play it, you peak at the right time at the end of the year, and I felt like maybe that started to end after the Giants won their Super Bowl. They were 9-7. They peaked at the end of the year. So I don't know if the window is necessarily closing as much as it used to close quicker. I think you can restack it easier, but I don't know. I mean, to me, if he go ahead, Bill.
No, all I was going to say is, with the window's a term that we hear a lot, right? And as a team, it's the window closing, and you can't afford a left tackle because you're paying the quarterback so much money, that sort of thing, and you are paying Josh Allen a tremendous amount of money. Josh Allen is also a guy who, what is he, 26?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not saying that the window's going to close, and certainly Brady has proven that window can stay open a long time if you get in the right system and keep your body. But at the same time, I don't think Tom Brady took as many hits as Josh Allen has. Josh Allen scrambling for 50 yards for a touchdown is as exciting as hell. He could also get his head blasted off. Potentially. So, and I think there's a lot of hits, and I think that Josh Allen at 26 probably won't be as quick, or, his game may have to develop to something different at 30. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it feels like right now with Burrow hurt and Cincinnati out, and here comes Kansas City, but we can say that Lamar is MVP, not MVP, whatever's going on. They don't do that great in the playoffs. At times, they seem to choke the Ravens.
Right. No, we saw that during the COVID year when they came into Buffalo.
Right. So it feels like the window right now, is who would have thought at 6-6, there's an opportunity, and there really is an opportunity that I feel like nobody saw coming this season.
Man, they were after the Philadelphia Eagles game. They had a 5% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah. No. Now they're an 11.5% chance of winning the Super Bowl.
And they're 6-7-0 since the article.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to use that as motivation, but those are facts. Since the article was released, they haven't lost a game.
Right.
And they're playing with a little different purpose. But, is that a motivating factor? I don't think so, but that's just the way it looks.
To Bill's point about this being the most important game and the window being closing, I think we are now entering a draft next year, Peter, where we may have all AFC teams may end up with a great quarterback by 2025.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: those young quarterbacks ain't getting paid for 4 years.
Right.
Allen's getting paid as of March 1st.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, you're already like $44 million over the cap. There's some decisions that have to be made. Oh, by the way, the guys you have getting paid aren't catching the football. And that to me is a little scary. And on top of that, I can't say it's the most important game for Allen's career because he's already played it, and they lost to Kansas City 3 years ago in the championship game. If they beat the Chiefs here, it's like the year that in 2004, the Red Sox came back and beat the Yankees. They still had to win the World Series, though, or else the curse would have continued.
Yes, I hear you.
So they still have to, not just beat the Chiefs at home, which they've asked for. Okay, you got what you wanted. Then you got to go and probably beat Baltimore. Don't count out Houston. They could come to Buffalo.
Well, hang on. I'm not saying this isn't going to – there are going to be games that are be greater in his career, but I'm saying at this moment, just present moment, to me, the Chiefs playoff game at home, you got to win this.
Well, yeah.
This is the most –
But then next week you got to win that.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that coming up right now – today, what is today? Thursday, January 19th, 18th?
It'll be 19th on Friday when people listen to this podcast.
This is the most important game of his career. That's how I feel.
That's
what I'm trying to say.
That's a fair statement. And I'll ask you guys this: if they don't win, is there no growth? Like, has this team grown, or are they just stuck in a field of molasses, and they're not going anywhere unless they make some other significant changes?
Peter, I don't know because, Josh Allen's the offensive side of the ball, but the defense is banged up as hell.
They have a scout. Pete, they have a scout team in the secondary right now.
I know it. I know it.
So that to me is almost I don't know. I mean, I think that certainly will be the narrative, right? They're stuck. They can't, whatever. But at the same time, I'm going, look at the personnel they're down to. And even there with Elam last week, I mean, we were watching him get burned, and then he picks it off in the end zone. Come on, Peter. We were like, what? This is crazy.
Couldn't believe it.
Yes.
Couldn't believe it.
Right.
Yep. And they're knocking at the door, Pittsburgh. Could have been a completely different game if they scored that touchdown there, make it 14-7. But, yes, it's an important game for him. Most important, yes. It's the game that shows that, all right, they got rid of the Wicked Witch of the West, and I feel like they feel so confident going into Baltimore. I just do, more than they would against the Chiefs. I really do. Yeah. I think this would launch them into a different but you know what? This is where the game, you said they're skinny in defense, and they are. This is where the 12th man matters.
Yes.
Because, if you're at the line of scrimmage screaming your head off, Bills fans, that affects the cadence. That affects a lot. You saw it in Detroit with Matthew Stafford, forced the coach to take 2 timeouts that they could have really used at the end of the game. So it really matters. When you have a skinny defense and you're playing at home, this is where the home field advantage really, truly matters.
Peter, do you remember the late 80s when the Bills would get penalized for being too loud?
What?
Do you remember that? Yeah, like
there was one The Miami game.
I don't know if it was Miami or the Houston playoff game in '88, where they got where Warren Moon or somebody could, or maybe it was Elway. He couldn't hear, they couldn't talk. Maybe it was Miami, Marino.
It was the Houston playoff game, I think, in '88, the first divisional game.
And the referee had to tell them to quiet down because they couldn't hear. It sounds ridiculous, but that's how loud it used to get in that stadium. And that's when you had 80,200 people.
80,000 people, sure. That's another thing. Back in the day, we talked about the weather this past weekend, and they did the right thing in moving the game. And then you hear the debate start to percolate again about should be a dome stadium, yada yada. Now, I think it's part of the fabric of the Buffalo Bills. Back in the day, we used to want bad weather as a fan. We used to want December snow against the teams coming in, and you felt like the Buffalo Bills teams wanted it as well. I feel like that's a little different now today, but it's going to be quite the scene on Sunday. Quite the scene.
To me, this is exciting. Now, go back to the tape because you watched the all 22 of the Steelers, and I think Danny had some concerns, especially in the second half. Were you seeing some things there that were what stood out or what jumped off the page? I guess
a couple of things where he's missing. And again, I'll say it again. I say it every week. I'm not in his sight line, but when you look at the film, there's some things that he's missing. He's just staring down some of his his progressions. The first progressions, Josh Allen is staring it down. And he's missing a couple of open things. Now, the first half, where they started off 21-0, looked great. I think the best part about it was, and I think they said in the press conference where they saw some things on tape that they could take advantage of. Well, that's great because Pittsburgh has a propensity not to cover tight ends. They have the worst statistics in the NFL in yards against them by tight ends, touchdowns and yards in reception. And boom, they go right out of the gate and they throw a touchdown to Dawson Knox. And then another great play called by Joe Brady, which I loved after the sudden change. They call it a sudden change when there's a turnover, and he goes right for the end zone when the Bills get the ball and they score a touchdown with Kincaid. Right off the bat, they were all in sync, up 21-0. And then just you can't let a team, because if it's Pittsburgh was, they weren't the toughest opponent, right? But if you're up 21-0, you got to try and shut the door. And even though it was early in the game, and just I don't know, the focus was gone. The focus was a little lighter than it was in the beginning of the game.
Peter, I'm going to go one step further. After that first drive, which we all know, the offensive coordinators script their plays in the first drives of every game, and Brady's scripts have been great. Joe Brady's scripts have been great. Yeah. After that first drive, the second drive, they punted. They couldn't get a 3rd and 2, right? Ball drop, okay, whatever. Then the next drive was simply a one pass to Kincaid for a touchdown after the turnover by Pickens, right? Then the following drive, Allen pretty much he had to do it all himself for 53 yards. So that really wasn't a drive. That was a fluke play by Superman for a touchdown. Then they had the block field goal, which gave Pittsburgh momentum. They almost went down the field and scored. They botched the end of the half. Then in the second half, you had you had another field goal he barely squeaked through. Pass. And then the final touchdown was a fluke play to Khalil Shakir after a holding in the secondary, and then a play where Josh Allen slides and he gets hit. So really, they only had one great drive the entire game, and that scares me because Kansas City's defense is pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
And it's a better defense than they faced. This is the best Kansas City defense I think that they faced.
Right. And Spagnuolo now has 7 games of Joe Brady calling plays to work with.
Right.
On film.
Right. And that's a fair assessment, Dan. I think that's a fair assessment because what you saw is correct. They didn't. They looked different in the first half, and just even body language, for crying out loud. I look at all that stuff. They just looked different than they did going into the second half. I don't know if after that blocked field goal, they're like, "Oh, here we go." We were up 21-0. Now it's 21-7. They brought it within 7, but then give it to Josh Allen taking the team down the field. And Shakir with that incredible effort. Of course, we would want it to be a little more consistent for 60 minutes, but I don't think you're ever going to get that from this team. From this squad, you're just not going to get 60 minutes of football. I don't think you will. And you're going to have to hope that – I think you have to expect that Allen's going to turn it over on Sunday. He can't turn it over more than once, though, against this defense.
No.
You don't want to give Kansas City more shots and more drive starts from anywhere on the field. So I expect him to turn it over. If the Bills play their best game and Kansas City plays their best game, I say the Bills win on Sunday.
Okay.
All right. I like that. That makes me feel pretty good.
But it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I mean, I don't see a blowout in any stretch. Again, they could go up 21-0 again, but it's not. It's the Chiefs. It's not the Pittsburgh Steelers. So
right.
I do like how the defense is flying around the field goal, though, guys. I really do. I mean, they are a skeleton crew, and they're giving it everything. The only problem is if you want to, and I worry about this, if you want to blitz Mahomes, that's fine. But every single person on the D-line has to maintain the integrity of their rush lanes. If they don't do that, it could be a long day. So you want to put pressure on Mahomes, fine. But that has to be the most disciplined game by your D-lineman in order to keep him contained. And if you're going to play man coverage, just watch out because Mahomes loves to take off when it's man coverage because the whole entire middle of the field is wide open. If the cornerbacks' backs are to him, they'll take advantage of that.
Peter, could the Bills play Elam man coverage and then everybody else zone like normal? Does that ever happen?
They do that. Yeah, it does. Yeah, you'll get zoned on the back end of a play, depending upon, where you are on the hash mark. If you're on the left hash, let's say you're closer to the sideline, so that sideline is the boundary sideline. They may have boundary corners where they're going to play man coverage in a smaller space. And then in a larger space, they're going to play a little bit of zone on the backside. So, yes, you'll see some different coverages pre-snap. They kind of like to try and disguise that because they want Mahomes to think it's all zone across the board or it's all man across the board. So to make the quarterback think, they'll definitely do those types of things. That's a good question.
Because Elam's more of a man corner. He's more of a man corner than a zone corner.
A zone guy. Yep. Zone will. And the only other thing that I worry about a little bit is Pacheco. He didn't play in the first game this year. That guy is such a hard runner, man. He's almost like aggravatingly good. Like as a Buffalo Bills fan, you watch him, you get aggravated as to how good he is because he does not want to go down, and he runs like he's 225 pounds. He's tough.
There's something though about this team too. They were 6-6. We were thinking they weren't going to make the playoffs. There's a chance they don't make the playoffs, and here we are. And you go, this is exactly what we all were hoping would happen, right? Chiefs at home, right. This is
Chiefs
it.
At home.
So that's why I say, to me, most important game of his career so far, at least from maybe a fan perspective, my perspective.
And part of me is like, God, this is great. Well. And then part of me says, well, it is just a divisional game.
Yes.
We've been here so many times.
But emotionally,
it'll be huge. Yes.
But emotionally, and you get them at home, and it's earlier in the playoffs, and they're not as good as they had been, at least offensively. I would say defensively, but maybe this is the best defense that Mahomes has had, but still.
The D-line has to have the best game of the year because a good D-line makes your corners better. A good D-line makes your linebackers better. So you have constant pressure. You get ankle deep the whole game. The Bills are going to come out on top here. But if they don't get pressure on Mahomes with the D-line, it could be a long day. But we shall see, gentlemen. We shall see.
I think we'll know early. I think we'll know in the first quarter where the direction the game's going.
Okay.
I don't know because I feel like the only time we've had that this year, Dan, is the Miami game. No, not the Miami game. What was there a game where we were just not in it from the jump?
There was the Raiders game early in the season where everybody's like, "Oh, here we go again," because they just lost to Jacksonville, and then maybe they did, I don't know, but they lost whatever it was. They didn't start out well against the Raiders, and then all of a sudden they blew the doors off the Raiders.
Yeah, it was like the first couple minutes were like, okay, here we go, and then you felt like that may have been in the Miami game the two closest 60-minute games that they played, but that's really it. So I want to give them a little bit of grace. If it's a bad first quarter, let's hold out hope. But again, if it's a close game and it goes down to the end of the game, then I worry about the leadership decision making, which we've seen all year.
That's the other thing too. You always got to worry about. On the flip side, KC should have destroyed Miami. They beat them soundly, but there were opportunities there that they didn't take advantage of in that game.
There were a lot of drop balls and things. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of drop balls for Mahomes this season.
Yeah, he has not had much help this year.
No, so
especially from Mr. Swift.
Right. Which, by the way,
really, he's had a little bit. Yeah.
Somebody texted me today with Taylor Swift coming to the game.
You want her coat?
No. Well, the coat is pretty cool.
Okay.
But if a Chiefs player gets hurt, would it be disrespectful if the stadium played "Shake It Off"?
Oh, wow. Please someone do that.
I kind of liked it. I was like, well, that's funny. Or
please someone do that.
I don't think you can do it on an injury. I don't think you can do it on an injury because I hate, that's unfortunately it's part of the game, and I hate seeing guys
That's
get
something
injured.
they would do at Nazareth basketball games.
But if it was a call, if we see Mahomes melting down like he did against, on the call where there was the offsides on a play, they would have won them the game against the Bills at home. Oh, do we play "Shake It Off" if he's having it? That's where you play "Shake It Off." That's where you got to do it.
If I were just another thought, if I was starting the two deep, I would start Epinesa over Miller.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Save Vaughn for those special plays. We're like, okay, Vaughn, look, we have just earn your money this year. One play, please.
Just get in there.
Just get in there and hit him.
He's so technically sound. Like when you watch the film, he's not an overly big guy, but he's so technically sound. He does things on the D line that he gets his hand in passing lanes, which is so critical. When a defensive lineman knows that he's deep, he can't get a rush. You literally stop your feet and you put your eyes on the quarterback and you get your hand, you time the jump. And he has such a wide wingspan. He does such a good job at that. And I think with a guy like Mahomes, coming off the edge, Epinesa is not going to try and will his way to the quarterback. If he knows his limits. If he can't get there, he will stop his rush and he'll put his hands, which is almost as good as a sack, and knocking down the ball. So I would start him over Von Miller any day.
Okay,
right now.
If Mahomes turns the ball over, they should play Taylor Swift's "Look What You Made Me Do." Because it's never his fault. Right?
I have a feeling that you're going to hear a lot of Taylor songs.
Well, is Nicholas Pickles from Kiss 98.5? Is he the DJ or is it still Phil Mercado? I don't know who
I have no idea.
I don't know who the in-house DJ is.
I don't know.
Did you hear who made that jacket, by the way?
Yes.
It was one, I forgot who it was, but I know
49ers player's wife, right?
Yeah. Jusic or something?
Yeah.
His wife.
Yeah.
Justin
her sales are going to go through the roof.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Yep.
Very nice.
Yep. So we'll see her in Buffalo.
All right, Peter. Well, this will be exciting, and we will talk to you next week, win or lose.
What's your menu for Sunday, gentlemen?
I don't know. I was thinking about that. I feel like this is a game I'm going to just watch alone at home. I think I feel that. Some of these games it's fun to be out, but I'm not sure. I'm really on the fence. So if I'm home, will I make chicken wings in the air fryer? Favorite of mine. Or if I'm out, do I just kind of go crazy with, I don't know, whatever's on the menu. But I feel like this one's a home one for me. So definitely chips, guac for sure, and then maybe some air fryer wings.
I got to talk to the boss. I'm sure she's got something.
Hey, Danny.
Well, she'll ask me. She goes, "Okay, what do you want for the game?"
Of course, yes.
Then I got to think.
I'm sure you got another segment coming up real quick. But what are your thoughts on Detroit, Tampa?
Boy, I'll tell you, you like Detroit. They're at home. I love the question that Danny said.
Well, you said it. Peter said it.
Yeah, Peter said it.
They asked.
13 degrees did in Detroit.
Oh
they asked. So for those of you who don't know, they asked Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Buccaneers, and it had to be this woman reporter who was filling in for somebody. And she goes, with the cold in Detroit, have you prepared your players for this cold? He goes, we're playing indoors, right?
No. But
that had to be the worst feeling for her.
I got to tell you, if you keep what's his name in a shotgun? That's where he's the best. Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield coming out of the shotgun. That's how he won the Heisman and everything. That guy was, that's how he became a number one overall pick. He's pretty deadly from a shotgun. I think they could, who knows? This could be a prove it, but gosh, you'd like to see Detroit and you'd like to see Goff, and it was nice to see Goff get the win over
LA,
right. And
because they told him they didn't need him anymore. They didn't want him.
Yeah, but I mean that game looked brutal.
it was a back and forth nail biter.
Yeah, it was.
That was quite the game. That was the only tough game. It was really the only close game of the weekend.
Stafford's hand almost came off.
Well, Stafford is a tough. He's a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah, I can't believe the fans are like
not for nothing,
him.
guys. He had a concussion. Remember that replay of him?
Yeah.
He had a concussion.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe he went through protocol. That is awful. There's no question. The way his hands were, the way his eyes rolled back into the back of his head.
Oh, yeah.
He almost had like a stoic look. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There's no way he's going to come back out.
Well, Peter, like
I couldn't believe it.
After Mahomes had his helmet cracked open, like how could they put anybody in concussion protocol after that? Because if he can't go to the concussion protocol, then nobody should. I mean,
exactly.
I
talk about the safety of everybody. Come on.
Yeah, I think they're like no-show construction jobs, these concussion spotters. Just drawing a check. Nobody wants to, because here's the thing, Peter, I think it's a real concern. Nobody wants to be the concussion spotter who pulls the star quarterback off the field in a tight spot, in a tight game. They don't want to be the one to do that. Because if anybody doxes them, they're like, their life is almost over because we live in this crazy world where people do stupid stuff.
It's like the refs at the end of the game if they're throwing a Hail Mary. No ref's going to want to call pass interference.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
They're not doing it.
Well, in basketball, you don't call a foul on the final shot at the end of the game.
No.
And frankly, at the end of the KC Green Bay game, a pass interference call that should have been called and wasn't, Green Bay doesn't get in. They don't win that game. They're not in the playoffs. That one call right there changed the whole scope of the playoff picture. Green Bay wins the next week, and the week after that, they get in, and now they're playing the best football they've ever played going into Dallas. Or not Dallas, my God.
San Francisco. Yeah, this will be something. Yeah. All right, well, Peter, enjoy all the games, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Peter.
Can't wait.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
See you
later on. See you, bye.
Wow, that is... It's gonna be something, Danny.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be something all weekend. Gonna be something.
Oh, get your kale pectate ready.
You know, another place you go watch the game, Cobblestone on Main.
Great Americans.
That's right.
Yep.
Dan Bresnahan's dad was the offensive coordinator for the Bills
for the Jim Kelly Bills from 91 to 93.
And it's an upscale bar. Hang out there. It's a great place to just go with family and friends. Even you've gone on date nights there.
Yeah.
Yeah. With
Brought
Beth.
my boo.
That's right. And you can get some great intimate dining. They've got everything from mouth-watering steak. If you are a vegan, a lot of times it's hard to find a place that can also accommodate you, right?
Yeah.
They are phenomenal. Really innovative creations that they have over there.
You can order tater tots on a date and still feel sophisticated because the way they make them.
That is very
They're not
true.
like real tater tots. These are like gourmet tots.
That's right. And it's more than just delicious food. They've got craft cocktails. They've got a whole winter cocktail menu, an extensive wine list that's been carefully curated, craft beers, and so much more. They will get you in the spirits and into the spirits. And if you're planning a special event, whether it's a birthday celebration or just maybe you want like a private date room. Maybe you're going to propose or something.
Oh, yeah.
Or a corporate gathering. Cobblestone on Main.
A business proposal.
That's true. They have they offer a charming private dining space that can be tailored to fit your needs. Cobblestone on Main, right there at 109 West Main Street in the village of Webster.